Welcome to County Matters Sligo. Coming up on today's show, we're going to go to Cliffany to the Island View Horse Farm, where we're going to meet Ursula and some of her lovely horses. We're also going to speak to Oriel Robinson, who's going to show us some of the historic tours she does of Sligo. But first, we're going to Strida Beach, where we're going to meet Prannie Rattigan, the seaweed expert, and some other very interesting Sligo foodies. Where did you get the love of seaweed?
Well, I got interested in seaweed when I was a child because I had no choice. I was brought to the shore by my parents, who were hugely into everything to do with growing organically, both in the garden and harvesting seaweeds and anything that was on the shore. So it was from them really back then that we got started with using seaweeds.
And did your father cook with seaweed in those days?
Yeah, well, he used to do mainly the telling us what seaweeds were good and in season and which ones to harvest. And then my mother, she actually was the really good cook. So she used to cook up exciting things with the seaweeds.
Your book, Irish Seaweed Kitchen, which is a bestseller. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, I had lots and lots of recipes, but I thought it would be really interesting for people if they could see that other people put in recipes too. So I invited good friends who are cooks and chefs to pick their favourite recipe, their foolproof recipe, and then I worked with them on adding seaweed to it. And if it got a really good rating of, say, 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10, it got into the book. And if it didn't, sadly, it didn't feature. So it was only those really great recipes. And I suppose for some of the recipes, the seaweed is it's the star. It plays the starring role, and then for some recipes it's really, just something hidden, particularly when you're dealing with children. You want to kind of hide those nutrients in there without necessarily letting them know that it's got seaweed, in case that for children it might have that yuck factor. So
and put them off
the
dish.
Yeah, and the seaweeds are just so nutritionally sound. They're powerhouses of minerals, vitamins, trace elements, and they do taste great.
As a medical doctor, Prannie, you obviously see the benefits of seaweed with your patients.
Definitely increasing the nutrients in your body, and we do know that they have phytodefensive properties. Those are compounds that will actually boost the immune system, but there isn't enough research done yet, so I can't say as a medical doctor that they're evidence-based, because they're not. So it's not like really at the stage where we can say yes, it treats this or it treats that, but the evidence is building and it's pointing towards looking at anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti-hypertensives, antiviral. Certainly it's looking really positive, but as a medical doctor I can't say that yet. I can only just hope that I'm going to be around when seaweeds are prescribed for these ailments in the future.
Your guide to edible seaweeds is being launched today, so can you tell me a little bit about it?
It's just a really exciting day for me, because since I brought the book out a good few years ago at this stage, people have been saying, oh, we want to go down and we want to actually harvest, but which ones will we harvest? So this is a really handy pocket guide, and it's laminated, and people can go to the shore, they can be empowered to actually harvest in a sustainable way. That's really important, that they harvest sustainably. So they bring us scissors and they give the seaweeds a little haircut haircut, and it's all outlined in the pocket guide. And I feel then people won't make any mistakes. They're going to know what to harvest and how to harvest it properly, and that's the exciting bit for me.
And it goes through the pictures so you can recognise them on the shore.
You can, yes, and we've also put on a QR code, a little barcode, and that when they scan their smartphone, if they want to do that, there's a video of me going through the description of the seaweed again and me harvesting the seaweed for them. So really it's making it as easy as possible in a little pocket guide. So really exciting.
You have a very exciting adventure coming up soon.
We are, yeah. We're actually going around the world with the seaweeds. So we're calling the tour Seaweeds, Meet Them, Eat Them, and ... love them. That'll be up to the people whether they'll love them, and I'm sure they will. So I'm off to Sydney. There's an international phycology conference, phycology being the study of seaweed, and I've been invited there to actually promote the book and to support Australia, who are launching a book, and they've been inspired by Ireland. Interestingly enough, our whole revival of seaweeds here has inspired them to actually write a book. So we go to Australia, New Zealand, and then on to Vancouver, and it's seaweeds all the way.
One of the recipes that grabbed my attention was for kale. So tell me a bit about the use of kale in your recipes.
Well, we use it in smoothies, and you're going to sample some of the smoothie here this morning. And it's a great way of getting such a nutritious food combined with the seaweeds and some fruit to sweeten it up. But there's such a variety of recipes in the book. You can start with soups and salads, and then people find it very surprising that chocolatey things pair really well with seaweeds. So people can actually have a great mix at the table. They can have their different flavours, and the seaweeds will pair with whatever they choose to actually have. So it's very versatile, as well as being so nutritious and so good for them.
Una, your book, Money for Jam. Tell me about it.
Well, Claire, the idea for the book came from the years I've been working with small food producers. So every time a small food producer comes to me, they have the same questions. Who do I talk to? What do I do? They have a fear of talking to the legislation people, to the authorities, afraid they're going to be shut down before they start. And I wanted to work, if you like, as an honest broker, somebody in between the food producer and the legal people to let them know what they can do legally from home starting off. So a lot of it is about giving people confidence. So they might come to me saying, I think I'm going to make buns, for example. And I'll say, okay, buns, that's interesting, but there are thousands of buns already on the shelf. What else can you do? And try and get them to find the niche in the market. The word you'll hear in the food business is, what's the differentiator? What's different about your food that somebody will want to buy?
And it follows them obviously through the journey of the initial idea to actually starting up. And have you kept in touch with anybody who has actually bought your book and gone on that journey?
I've kept in touch with a lot of them actually. Well, it's great, social media is great, so I see what they're doing. And still I get the odd question from people. So I always say to people, even after you've bought the book, even though you have the information, sometimes a quick phone call can help somebody get over a real big hurdle that they would maybe fret about otherwise on their own. So I have a good few case studies in the book, and I know that they're all still doing very well. Around Sligo, there's quite the good opportunity, I think, in Sligo for people to start up. There's actually not a huge number of food producers in Sligo, you might be surprised to hear. Quite a few vegetable growers, some really good restaurants, but in terms of supplying local food, I think there's a really big gap in the market there for people in Sligo who want to produce their food from home.
You're a blogger, and your blog is irishfoodguides.ie.
That's right.
Tell me about it.
I've been writing a food blog since about 2007. and as a chef myself, my dad came from a media background, and social media was a natural progression for me. So I started promoting food producers, restaurateurs, and the whole artisan food movement about 2007, and it's a good time now to be involved in food and social media in Ireland. There's a lot of food bloggers out there at the moment, and I'm doing pretty well with my blog at the moment.
And you must have a great love of food, and you're thinking of bringing this into a food tourism situation now. So what's happening with that?
Food tourism, natural progression for Irish producers at the moment. The Wild Atlantic Way has just been launched by Falch Ireland down the west coast of Ireland. And what I've been doing is pulling together producers, restaurateurs and accommodation providers to put them together under one package under Irish Food Tours. So we can offer that to the incoming tour operators association guys, and they can sell that abroad to people that are coming to Ireland. So we can add on a trip round to see the bacon maker and the sausage maker and the cheese maker, and then go and eat their product that night.
And are the people coming from all over the world? It's just in the northwest that they'd be travelling to, or would you bring them in the further parts of the country?
I'm a great believer Ireland, a food island. We have to sell it as 32 counties and take in the Northern Ireland and the Southern Ireland producers and put them all together in a package. We have great product here, north and south. It should really be sold as a product for the whole country to sell at one time. Not just there's no target market really. And as we're finding out, it's kind of feeling our way as we're going along. But there's Irish people that have never been to the west of Ireland, and even some Western people have never been to Dublin. And the food producers are there and the restaurants are there, and it's a good way to get people travelling around their own country for starters.
Reid, how was the Sligo Soul Festival created?
It was 6 years ago on the back of the Sligo Live Festival, which is a fabulous music festival which takes place in Sligo over the October weekend. We realised how important it was to bring people to the town for a reason, because it's such a fantastic place. But it's a secret, really. So we decided. Well, we got together. It was a group of restaurateurs and chefs got together to organise something that we could do using our own talents, our own knowledge, and so the food festival was formed.
And what events do you have coming up over the weekend?
We've loads of things happening. First of all, the food trail. We have the possibility to have 30 dishes throughout the Sligo, the centre of Sligo, in all the venues. You could have house specialities. We have lots of walks because we're blessed in Sligo with so much natural beauty. We have seaweed walks. We have and also we have the skills with that. So Prannie Rattigan will be leading seaweed walks. We have foraging walks in just outside Sligo town. We have workshops learning how to teach to cook seaweed, to cook wild food. We've fermentation workshops, we've cheese making workshops, and then of course there's lots of eating things as well.
So Prannie's book is available, Irish Seaweed Kitchen, and her seaweed guide in all good bookshops. Coming up after the break, we're going to try some horse riding in the Island View Horse Farm. I hope I survive. Welcome back after the break. We're now at the Island View Riding Stables, where we're going to meet Ursula, Oriel, Lolly and Charlie. I'm on Lollipop here, who's obviously very docile. Do you train the horses yourself?
Yeah, but somehow the horses end up with us. Most of the horses, some of them we would have bought, some of them would have been born here, and some of them just end up here. They come here for training, we might keep them. We've even got ones that people want to get rid of and left them with us. So different ways to find us, and usually we find that the right horse, if it needs to be here, it finds us here.
And do you think that horses are born with a certain personality?
Oh, absolutely. Part of it is the breed. The type of breed that they are would be quiet anyway, and then it's definitely they're born with a certain disposition. But also they get used to the job. You train them, you treat them fairly. They pay you back by being safe and you know, doing what they're supposed to do most of the time anyway.
And then when they're younger, they sometimes challenge you a little bit, like children, I suppose.
Oh, they can be, yeah, they can. Especially when they're they're usually quiet as 3-year-olds, come 4- and 5-year-old, just pushing the boundaries a little bit. So you just have to, you know, keep them focused.
And do you keep different types of horses here?
Oh, absolutely,
for the different types of people that are coming in?
Yeah, we would have bigger horses, hunters, more forward-going horses for experienced riders. Then we have small little Welsh ponies for small children, and then this is your sort of the medium range horse that you're on would be sort of a cob size. We call that a cob size, which is between a horse and a pony, which suits all sizes really.
And what makes the riding school here so special, do you think?
I think part of it is the location, definitely the location. We have the beautiful islands you can ride out to. You have 3 or 4 lovely beaches within easy reach. And we have the mountains on the other side. And we also we provide, I think, a good service. We look after everybody, you know, no matter what level rider they are, we make sure they have a good time. Part of the challenge is matching the horse and the rider. When people walk into the yard, I wouldn't always know them, so I have to kind of make a quick guess, a quick assessment of what type of person they are, what sort of riding have they done, what sort of horse fits them. We do a quick assessment, put them on the horse, and most of the time we get it right.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to giving it a go now.
Absolutely, yeah. Ready to go?
She's going to tell us about her company, Sea Trails, about being a maritime archaeologist, and about the Wild Atlantic Way.
Boy.
So, hi, how are you? That was some entry.
This is Charlie.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Well, he's gorgeous. So tell me, Ariel, what is a maritime archaeologist?
A maritime archaeologist is someone who studies coastal trading in the past, somebody who has a love for the sea and is interested in underwater archaeology. So sites such as shipwrecks, international shipwrecks, and coastal sites such as tower houses, historic sites along the coast, anything to do with trading and exchange in prehistoric times right up to historic and medieval times.
And studying that obviously is what really ignited your love of finding out more about the Spanish Armada.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what happened here, down here on Streeda Beach?
In 1588, September the 21st of 1588, 3 huge Spanish ships came in here looking for shelter. And this was after King Philip II of Spain wanted to overthrow Protestantism in England. And Queen Elizabeth was more or less ready and waiting for him. And he sent out a huge formation of ships called the Armada, which went into the English Channel from the northwest coast of Spain up into the English Channel, and they fought. And they ended up having to head to the north around Scotland and Ireland because it all went horribly wrong for them. So the ships that got left behind, there's 25 or more of them along Ireland's coast, from Antrim all the way down to the Blasket Sound in Kerry. And 3 of them are here at Streeda, which is just a beach beyond, just literally to the south here. a huge long stretch of sandy golden sands, and there's 3 Armada wrecks there since 1588.
And what happened to the people who were on the wrecks? Did they survive? Did anyone come into this area and settle?
Yeah, well, it's thought that a few of them might have survived all right, but most of them would have died. A lot of them drowned, obviously, and then a lot of them were killed on the beach when they came in, because at the time in the 16th century Ireland, Queen Elizabeth was trying to gain control here, and she would have had sent men and an army ready and waiting, and they were terrified of an invasion by the Spanish. Even though the Spanish wanted to get back, you know, they were fearful of an invasion from Ireland. From the Ireland side. Yes, it's a very exciting story. It's a very exciting story. He recognises the value of it. So yeah, so a lot of them, most of them died. Unfortunately, there was 1,100 washed up, or who were washed in during the actual wrecking, and then around 300 of them were marched to Galway to be hung, publicly hung. Yeah, so it was it's a very sad story actually. And Street is every year we commemorate the those who died at Street during Celtic Fringe Festival, it's called.
And your company, Sea Trails, you do tours of the. Do you bring people down to see the wrecks?
I do. The wrecks themselves aren't visible, but the site is there, and there's a great story that goes with it. There's Captain Francisco de Cuellar, who survived the actual wrecking. And it took him about 9 months to get back to Antwerp, which was safe ground in the hands of the Spanish. So de Cuellar's story, it's a letter that he wrote to King Philip of Spain II about his survival. So I do walking tours, primarily walking tours, archaeological and historical walking tours around Sligo. And this one for sure is my favourite one of all, because you have stunning scenery, you've got the story of the Armada, and you have amazing ancient fossilised coral reef at Street as well, and a beautiful environment, a wild wilderness.
And what other tours do you do in that with your company, Sea Trails?
I do tours, walking tours around Strand Hill and Knocknarea Peninsula. Again, a beautiful part of Sligo. We have the oldest megalithic tombs in Ireland here at Carramore. Really, really famous tombs. And you have indications there of links between trade links going on even from the prehistoric period with other countries, you know, just based on the artifactual evidence. I do tours around Loughill area, where Yeats was very inspired by Loughill, and also the Knocknarea Peninsula and the northern Sligo areas. I do a Ross's Point historic trail and talking about the Yeats connection and the maritime history, and where else? The Carrickeel in the Brickleave Mountains in South Sligo, because it's really very beautiful there.
That must keep you busy. But another thing that you're an ambassador for is the Wild Atlantic Way. Now these are the signs that are blue with the wave on them. Can you explain to us what is this all about?
Yeah, so Fóilte Ireland are driving that project, and they're marketing it. It's giving people, the visitor to this country or a domestic visitor, an opportunity to see those areas and parts of the coast, the fringe of Ireland. It's drawing their attention to those areas, and those areas, as you know, are very beautiful, like here. So the Wild Atlantic Way is a large coastal driving route which extends all the way from Cork from Kinsale right up to Malin Head in Donegal.
sun. What a beautiful day. Thanks to everybody who took part in today's show. Join us next Tuesday for more stories from Sligo, Slán agus Bannacht.